Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are out here in Lafayette County in Mississippi, just outside of Oxford. And I thought for Black History Month this year, instead of highlighting, last year we did Martin Luther King Sr., George Washington Carver, stuff like that. I did go visit Whitman Mayo, which is an entertainment side of it. So I thought this year maybe we could keep to that theme and keep to entertainment. So that's why we're here. We're visiting James Harris. And that name doesn't ring a bell. I'm sure on the thumbnail, you know who that is. Obviously, he played Kamala, right? Growing up, in the time that I did, I got to see him and all the stuff that he did. And that era of wrestling was a whole different era. I mean, it was great to watch, and it was fun to see that growing up. And so that's why I'm here to pay my respects, and I thought you guys may want to come along for that too. So I'm going to try not to get, it rained overnight, and it is nasty, so I'm going to try to get through as many parts of the cemetery as I can to show off how it looks, do some B-roll while I'm a-yapping, so you might enjoy that. And if this is your first time here, hey, welcome. I hope you enjoy the video. If you do, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing, doing all those things. And if this isn't your first time here, welcome back. I hope you enjoy the video. So let's get to talking about Mr. Harris's life. We'll celebrate his life, go pay our respects at the end of the video, find his grave, and see what other cool headpieces that we see while we're here, if there's any older pieces, all that good stuff, right? So yeah, let's get to going. So Find a Grave doesn't really have a precise location, not a very large cemetery, so I don't think it's going to take us too long to find it. But while I'm talking, I'll be looking, and maybe we'll run up on it. Mr. Harris was born on May the 28th, 1950, here in Senatobia, Mississippi. I think that's how you say that, right? Senatobia. Mississippi's got, man, those native names are tough. He grew up in Coldwater, Mississippi, where his family owned a furniture store. And when he was around 4, his father was tragically shot in a dice game. And it really, man, I couldn't imagine, right at 4. So Harris worked as a sharecropper to help support his family. And he left high school in the 9th grade and became a habitual burglar. Like, you got to have a problem if they use the word habitual, right? In 1967, local police suggested he leave town. And so, as Harris put it back then, if you didn't leave like they said, you'd be found dead somewhere else. So, he relocated to Florida, where he drove trucks and picked fruit. At the age of 25, he moved to Benton Harbor, Michigan, where he met wrestler Bobo Brazil. Harris then began training as a wrestler under Brazil's friend, Tiny Tim Hampton. He moved to Arkansas to continue training and escape the snow in Michigan. Let's keep walking this way. Man, it's very soggy out here today. Plus, with all the leaves down, it's hard to tell. Where I grew up, we try not to step on graves unless you can't help it. So that's what I'm trying not to do. But we are way out in the weeds now. So Harris debuted in 1978, under the ring name Sugar Bear. He spent most of his early career in the southern United States, also using the ring names Ugly Bear, Big Jim Harris. His first manager was Percy Pringle. Now, I didn't know this till I was putting all this together, but if you don't know who that name is, I'll put that image up right now. You're definitely going to recognize that face. Like, he would go on to later become Paul Bear, Undertaker. Like, that was his big, I remember him with the urn and everything, right? Harris met CWA promoter Jerry Lawler, who offered him a job. Harris, Lawler, and Jerry Jarrett developed a new character for Harris called Kamala, like Kimala. And they later adjusted it to the name we know today as Kamala, drawing upon ideas for a character originally developed for Harris by the great Mephisto. Gotta love that name, Great Mephisto. The character was a vicious Ugandan headhunter with face and body paint copied from a Frank Frazetta painting. His backstory was that he was a former bodyguard of a president of Uganda who had been discovered by J.J. Dillon during an excursion to Africa. And you gotta love how they build these things for wrestling, right? The backstory is as complicated as the real life story. So a promotional aired on WMC TV featuring a spear-wielding Kamala seemingly emerging from a steamy African jungle. It was actually filmed on Jarrett's farm in Hendersonville, Tennessee, with the steam effect using dry ice. To establish Kamala as a monstrous character, Jarrett instructed him to wrestle in a brawling style with chops and biting. To preserve kayfabe, which is, keeping in character, Harris wore robes and refused to speak English while in public in Memphis. That's a whole dedication, to the character, right? Where even when you're not wrestling, you're still in character to keep, everybody believing. Kamala made his debut in the CWA in May of 1982 with Dillon as his manager, losing to Lawler in a disqualification match that sold out the Mid-South Coliseum. And in June, he defeated Lawler for the AWA Southern Heavyweight Championship, which he held until August that year. At the insistence of Andre the Giant, Kamala debuted in the WWF, at the time World Wrestling Federation, in July of '84. He was managed by Freddie Blassie and a masked handler in safari clothing known as Friday, played first by Frank Dalton, then by Steve Lombardi. So in August of '84, Kamala challenged Hulk Hogan for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. Thank you, Trucks. Wrestling him to a double countout. In October of '84, he began a series of matches against Andre the Giant, among them a steel cage match, which he lost after Andre sat on his chest, which you can understand that, right? Kamala's final appearance was in a battle royale in November of '84. And he'll come and go with WWF. You'll see that as we get through talking about his life, where it's normally about money, which is what a surprise. Vince McMahon wasn't willing to open up the checkbook, right? So after leaving the WWF in '84, Kamala went on to appear with multiple promotions throughout the U.S. and Canada. Throughout '85, Kamala wrestled in Minneapolis, Minnesota-based American Wrestling Association. He established as a monster by winning a series of handicap matches. He feuded with Sergeant Slaughter, whom he defeated in a Ugandan death match in April of '85, but lost in a boot camp steel cage match in June. From November of '86 to February in '87, Kamala faced Hulk Hogan in a series of matches for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship, marking the pinnacle of his career. He began a feud with Jake Roberts, which Roberts repeatedly exploited Kamala's purported fear of snakes. You gotta love it. They always got a thing, right? Of course, he's this big, tough Ugandan, man, right? This creature, like a bodyguard and all that, right? Big, tough dude. But with a snake, that's his weakness. You gotta love it. So after leaving the WWF once more, Harris stepped back from professional wrestling. He began working as a truck driver, using 2 semi-trucks he had purchased following his series matches with Hulk Hogan. I'm sure that paid pretty good money. I hope it did anyway. On November 7th of 2011, Harris had his left leg amputated. Okay, so we're jumping forward a little bit here because once he stepped away, he had health problems, for a long time. Being that large, he had diabetes, he had all the stuff, right? As a fat guy, I get it. But his thing was, he didn't want to do dialysis or anything. So this is where the story kind of gets a little dang, man, if you would have just, I don't know. I hate to be judgmental. I'm not going to judge, but you do you, right? So here's where the story starts to go downhill a little bit. So in November, Harris had his left leg amputated below the knee due to complications of high blood pressure and diabetes, a condition he had since '92, which forced him to retire because he didn't accept dialysis treatments. In April of 2012, his right leg was also amputated below the knee, and a campaign was launched seeking donations to cover his financial needs. It's crazy to think he was in many matches against all these heroes of wrestling, like all these iconic pin characters, and here he is having to have like GoFundMe set up. So somebody didn't give him money. That's all I can say, right? Or maybe he mismanaged it. Who am I to judge? Okay, we've already established that. So Harris told the Bleacher Report in 2014 that he relied on a disability check, sold handmade wooden chairs, and had recently written a book about his life. So on November 19th, 2017, Harris underwent life-saving emergency surgery to clear fluid from around his heart and lungs at a hospital here in Oxford. It was then on life support due to complications. The next day, his stepdaughter said he showed signs of improvement but remained on life support. And on November 22nd, it was reported that he was unable to breathe on his own, yet was unable to talk and remained in intensive care. So he gets better, he gets out of intensive care, but on August 5th, 2020, Harris tested positive for COVID-19 during the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously, right? He likely contracted it from one of his numerous weekly visits to the dialysis center, his wife said. Due to COVID-19, he started to experience complications from his diabetes. He went into cardiac arrest on August 9th, 2020, before passing away later that afternoon at the age of 70. And here we go. Here's the grave. A big man requires a big grave. Right there it says James Harris, author. Sunrise, Sunset, Legend Kamala, the Ugandan giant. And there's Mr. Harris, not in kayfabe. And let's walk around to this side. And they got a picture of Kamala there. So let's get one more look at it. Don't want to step on it, but there we go. And there's his actual. So yeah, now you can see why I was having a hard time, with the dialysis thing, because it was like, well, he didn't want to do it, which was not good. It led to, complications and all that. But at the end of the day, the dialysis is probably very likely what put him in the dirt, which is sad. So I wonder if I don't know, do you think maybe there's something that we all don't like to do? Because maybe at the end of the day, that's the thing that might end up putting us in the dirt as well. I don't know, like a premonition without a premonition. It's hard to nail that down. But yeah, we've walked all over, there's this little section, and then in the B-roll you saw it, but it goes, see there's the church. It goes behind the church and then off down the hill on the other side. And I've tried to cut out as much sound as I could. You're probably hearing this truck go by now. Apparently there's somewhere out here, I've seen a lot of trucks pulling side by sides and stuff like that. We're right next to, I think it's Sardis Lake. If that's not it, I'll put it in the thing right now. But it seems like a very popular spot. We've been here for a little bit, there was no traffic, and then we're here on a Sunday, and it's now that church has got out and everything else, everybody's getting into their, what are we going to do on a Sunday? But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I do enjoy walking around. It's like every one of these cemeteries we get to go to, you know, it's fun to see what's so different. Hold on, let me show you guys this thing. Check this out. I'm gonna come back over here. This had me really confused. At first I was like, oh, this has got to be a, so in the comments, let me know, do you think this was the outhouse? What do you think that was for? Like, that's what I initially thought. Like, that had to be for that, right? You think? If that ain't it, I don't know what it, I mean, anyway. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm definitely not going to open the lid because I don't want to know. So thanks for watching. Let's go up here and let's do our thing that we normally do. I really do appreciate it. The channel's growing. Like, it's amazing that we're able to do this together. All of you guys that, and gals, excuse me, I don't want to, you know, misgender this day and time. All you people that are able to support through the member section and merch and all that stuff, it really does help. Like, you guys have no idea how much that helps. So thanks for watching, and you know what? You never know what you're going to find on the back roads. The Wrestler Kamala. I'm so cool. It's so cool that you and I got to go do this. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one.